Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
All right, welcome back to the show. Today we have an exciting special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Eliza Seville, a racing driver and also a system support engineer.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into racing?
It's been quite a journey. It was when I was about a teenager, probably 14, 15. I started seeing videos of drifting and racing online and was just really interested in it. I thought it looked really cool and I just wanted to be involved in whatever way I could. So that's when I started researching and found the National College for Motorsport at Silverstone. So I went and studied there and then from there became a motorsport mechanic. And then it's led me into doing the systems engineering. And then when I had a role at Robo Race, I was able to test drive the cars. So that's where the racing started then. So that's kind of a brief history of how I got into it.
That is so cool. What was your first experience like getting behind the wheel of a race car?
Incredible, because not only was it just a race car, it was also autonomous and electric. So I would warm up the car, and then the car would drive me afterwards. So I would pilot it in autonomous mode, and it could do. They would only let it do half speed due to insurance purposes with me in the car, and then it would go full speed once I got out the car. But it was still incredible because your cornering speeds are still just as fast as what it would have done without. We did a human versus AI challenge with Lucas Degrassi, and we were as fast as him. So to kind of feel what it felt like to go as fast as an ex-F1 driver essentially was quite an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine. How does the autonomous system work?
So it's quite complicated, but it uses GPS and RTK, so it uses like an RxTS system, where it uses GPS to figure out where it is, and then it uses a predetermined map to follow. So it's essentially kind of programmed into it. It can also go on a learning mode as well, where it is measuring the levels of grip, and it will adjust. It'll bring it back if it feels like it's pushing it too hard, and it feels like it's lacking grip. But that's a bit more complicated on that side of things.
That's really cool because that's going to be the way of the future, I think.
Yeah, definitely on the roads. I think everything will be fully autonomous. I'm not sure how long it will take, but definitely I think it takes out the human element and kind of the mistake element of safety. So I think everything on the road will become autonomous. But I obviously love driving, so hopefully on the track it still stays normal.
So as far as getting into the racing career, as far as that, what kind of cars do you race?
So at the moment, last year was my first kind of season, if you like, in car racing. I'd been karting the 2 years prior. So I raced Mazda MX-5s last year in the Mazda Super Cup Championship. And then this year I'm hoping to do a full season of MG Cup. Because I have a MG Cup race car, which has got a 190 VHPD engine in it, and it can go on the slick class, so it'll be my first experience racing on slicks, and then that should hopefully prepare me for going into kind of GT racing.
So as far as your racing career, what is the ultimate goal? Like, what series do you want to end up in?
I want to go to the top level of GT racing. The aim is to be able to compete at Le Mans. Essentially, I want to do the 24 hours of Le Mans, and then do whatever championship to supplement that. So either WEC or European Le Mans Series, so the World Endurance Championship, or European Le Mans.
Yeah, the Le Mans is one of the bigger races that us over here in the States we know of.
Yeah, I think over 300,000 people go to it, and like millions watch online. So Yeah, it's a really big event, and it's kind of a full circle for me because in my first year as a motorsport mechanic, I did Le Mans with the team I was working with, and it was just an incredible experience, and I absolutely loved it. So to go back as a driver would just be really cool.
So, as far as learning how to work on the cars, how difficult was that?
I mean, it was okay. I think as long as you've got like good attention to detail and you're quite methodical and logical about things, and yeah, just having that attention to detail to make sure you don't miss anything. Obviously, working on a road car and then working on a race car's going, at incredible speeds all the time, and G-force and downforce and vibration. So you need to make sure that it's not going to fall apart because obviously that's someone's life that you're kind of taking into your own hands a little bit. So just being really kind of meticulous and careful is the most important thing. But yeah, I really enjoy being hands-on and doing practical work and building the cars. So it was quite good, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I would imagine that being able to know how the car operates would also help you as a driver as well, because then you can kind of feel how things are going.
Yeah, definitely helps. Kind of having that engineering aspect in your mind, you kind of understand the dynamics of the car and how you're affecting it. So, like, when you're going on the brakes, the way the nose dives and you've got weight on the front wheels, or if you've got weight at the back, and yeah, and then kind of understanding oversteer and understeer, and also knowing what you can do to try and help that in a car as well, what changes to make. So yeah, definitely has an advantage.
So, as far as race car drivers, I hear people all the time say they look up to people like Mario Andretti and a few others. Do you have anybody that you've looked up to through the course of your career?
Yeah, there's a few. Obviously, I think Lewis Hamilton is great just because of how far he's got with, he started off with not much. Whereas there's like a lot of drivers out there at the moment that I think started with a lot of money, so it's quite easy to get to the top when you've already got that backing. So I think any kind of driver that's managed to make it, themselves, I have admiration for. And I also like Sophia Flourish, who's doing FIA F3 at the moment. She's the only girl in F3, but she's doing really well. She had a good season last year, and I hope she has a good season this year.
That's very cool. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that racing, at any level is not a cheap sport to get into.
No, yeah, definitely. It's probably one of the most expensive sports, I imagine. So yeah, I try and do it through sponsorship. So I've got a few sponsors that I have backing me at the moment. Pagola Drinks being one, tequila company, and Fiber Marketing, who do SEO optimization. So they've been my big backers so far. And then just trying to get a few more together for this year, and then hopefully to get into the realm of GTs, which there is quite a jump in finance at that point. So just trying to prepare for that best I can, really.
So, as far as going from the class you're in now to MGs, what are the differences with the vehicles?
So the Mazda was kind of a front engine rear wheel drive, and the MG is mid engined rear wheel drive. So it will handle a little bit differently. And yeah, that's kind of the biggest difference, I'd say. They're both quite similar in weight and size. So it would just be the handling that's the biggest thing, and then also going on to a class that uses slick tyres. That will be the biggest difference as well, really.
Yeah, I can imagine what that would be like to go from the tire style you're used to now to slicks, where if they get overly hot, you start sliding all over the place.
Yeah, and then being able to warm them up the right way as well. Yeah, it's definitely important to take all of that into account.
Exactly. So, as far as your engineering degree, how did that come about?
So I don't actually have a degree. I studied and got a diploma from the National College of Motorsport. So that was in mechanics, and then in the engineering side of things, I actually just learnt on the job. So I started that when I was at Robo Race, started looking at the data analysis and kind of calibrating sensors and this kind of thing, because we did a lot of development work. And then when I got my current role, I'm now kind of doing more electrical systems engineering. So again, looking at the data of all the different cars for reliability purposes, and then also fixing any wiring looms or electrical issues with like ECUs or electrical components on the car.
Yeah, and electrical in general, especially on a vehicle, is not the easiest thing to do.
No, yeah. So sometimes it can be a bit mind-boggling, to be honest. That there'll be things that you think, oh, that can't possibly fix it, and then it does.
Yeah.
And it can kind of confuse you a little bit, as sometimes things don't seem so logical. But yeah, once you get your head around it, it's quite rewarding.
Yeah, and I'm in the automotive field here, so it's one of those things where people don't realize how much wiring goes into a vehicle, even just, your standard everyday car.
Yeah, and it's only getting more and more, especially in road cars, isn't it? There's becoming more and more reliant on electrical systems. There's less and less mechanical systems and more electrical, so which can hinder you in certain ways, because if you have an electrical issue, I think I heard a story of someone had an EV and the park brake got stuck on, and because it was an electric one, they couldn't get it off. So they were stuck. Whereas if you had a mechanical one, you would have never really run into that issue. But
yeah, exactly. So as far as races you have coming up, do you have anything set up as far as this season, or are you still kind of building up to that?
Yeah, still kind of sorting out funding, but I am fully intending to do a full season of Jet MG Cup. So my first race will be at Brands Hatch in March on the 23rd and 24th. And then, so we'll be doing 7 races across the year. And then if I can fit it in, I'd love to go to Spa and do the Spa Historic as well. So yeah, that's the plan.
That's very cool. So as far as where our listeners can find you on social media and where they can see some of the content that you've put out, I noticed you have some on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Those are the main ones, and then I've got my website as well, and they're all under Eliza Seville Racing.
Very cool, very cool. So, one last question for you: if you had to pick 4 different cars to drive over your career, what would they be? Whether it be racing cars or just your normal everyday car?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. They'd all be race cars, definitely. I'd love to drive a Ford GT40, the original one, and also a new one. So I guess that takes up two spots. And one of the LMDHs, like the new LMP cars, the hypercars, I guess they're called now. Probably the Cadillac. It sounds amazing. And then the 4th one, probably an LMP1 or LMP2 car.
Very cool. They all sound really amazing cars.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to chat with me. I hope that the season goes well for you. We'll be looking for it.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to get back on track.
And, we wish you all the best, and hopefully we can talk to you soon with maybe a championship under the belt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks very much for having me on.
Down, down.